Morning, one and all. Let us welcome to our next session. Our topic for today is photosynthesis. Though the topic is not new, but the contents will be completely new for you all. See, plants synthesize their own food in the presence of sunlight by the process of photosynthesis, and all animals obtain their food from the plants and are dependent on them for their survival. This we already know. Now, what is photosynthesis? As the name says you, photosynthesis. Photo means light, synthesis means manufacture or putting together. So photosynthesis, light is put together to give something. Okay, that is what we call it as photosynthesis. And it is a biochemical process through which green plants, algae and a few autotrophic bacteria synthesize food using the carbon dioxide and water in the presence of light energy from the sun. This is what we can say what is photosynthesis. And this food is used for the growth and sustenance of our biosphere. In fact, photosynthesis is essentially the only mechanism of energy input into the living world. There are a few known organisms which can obtain energy by oxidizing compounds not synthesized by photosynthesis. And they include chemosynthetic bacteria which obtain energy by oxidizing inorganic substrates such as ferrous ions and sulfur derived from the Earth's crust, or hydrogen sulfide released from the volcanic actions. Importance of photosynthesis. The process of photosynthesis is vital for the sustenance of life on Earth. First of all, it's a source of energy. Secondly, it's a source of food. Third is it's a source of oxygen. And fourth is a link between two worlds, that is living and non-living. So let us see how photosynthesis is a source of energy. Photosynthesis is the only mechanism by which energy from the non-living world, that is from the sun, it is transferred to the living world, to the plants. And it is the single most important biological source of energy required for the organisms. Source of food. Photosynthesis is the only and ultimate source of food for all organisms. Green plants trap solar energy from the sun, obtain carbon dioxide and water from the atmosphere, and synthesize food in the form of glucose and starch. So this process is essentially similar in all the green plants. Therefore, green plants are also called as producers. Now, herbivores consume the plant parts directly, while carnivores feed upon the herbivores for their nutrition, and indirectly they depend upon the plants. All animals, thus directly or indirectly, depend on plants for the energy and food. Source of oxygen. Photosynthesis is the only biological process which releases oxygen into the atmosphere. Almost all organisms need oxygen for their respiration, and they take in oxygen from the atmosphere and give out to the atmosphere the carbon dioxide. Link between the two worlds. The process is considered as a link between the living and non-living world, as the plant traps energy from non-living world and transfers it to the living world. Like other organisms, plant also require or respire, and they too take in oxygen and release carbon dioxide. During the daytime, respiration and photosynthesis occur simultaneously, and carbon dioxide produced in the respiration is used up in photosynthesis. So oxygen is a byproduct of photosynthesis and it is released into the atmosphere. At night, respiration continues in the absence of photosynthesis, and carbon dioxide produced by the plant is released onto the surrounding atmosphere. Now, no plant gives out oxygen during the night. Raw materials required for photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide and water are the two essential raw materials required for photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide. Plants obtain most of the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and other sources of carbon dioxide are respiration and other metabolic reactions. Plants take in carbon dioxide through the stomata present on the leaves, and the diffusion of carbon dioxide takes place along the concentration gradient. During daytime, these pores remain open and gaseous exchange of carbon dioxide takes place, such as carbon dioxide enter the leaves through them. In submerged aquatic plants, carbon dioxide enter the plant by diffusion through the general surface of the plant parts, but mainly through the leaves. Now, mechanism of opening and closing of stomata. Stomata, which are the minute openings present on the leaf surface, they are present in large number on the lower surface of a leaf as compared to the upper surface. Each stoma is bordered by two guard cells with a thick inner wall and a thin outer wall. The guard cells control the opening and closing of stomata mainly by the movement of water because of changes in osmotic potential of the guard cells. Now, we'll see the mechanism of opening and closing of stomata. Opening of the stomata is during the daytime. In fact, during daytime, the guard cells manufacture food material in the form of sugar and store it. This increases the osmotic pressure of the cells, which results in the movement of water into the guard cells from the adjoining cells also called as endosmosis. As a result, the guard cells become turgid and bulge outwards, causing the opening of the stomata. This leads to transpiration and movement of gases through it. Thus, photosynthesis and transpiration occur simultaneously during the daytime. Now, the closing of stomata. It happens during the night time. At night, the stored food is translocated to different parts of the plant for utilization. The movement of food out of the guard cells decreases their osmotic pressure as compared to the neighboring cells. It results in the movement of water out of the guard cells called as exosmosis. Consequently, the guard cells become flaccid and their inner walls straighten, leading to closure of stomata. Thus, transpiration is also minimized along with the absence of photosynthesis at night. There we come to the conclusion that during the opening of stomata, endosmosis occurs. During the closing of stomata, exosmosis occurs. Now, opening and closing of stomata also occurs due to movement of potassium ions from the guard cells. So, this theory we have already learned in the previous chapter also. Next is for water. Plants uptake water from the soil by the roots through the process of osmosis. This water reaches the xylem vessels and is then transported through the stem to the intercellular spaces of the mesophyll tissues of the leaves. Water diffuses inside cell and reaches chloroplast. Besides this, plants also obtain water released during the process of respiration and other metabolic functions. Of the total amount of water required by the plants, only about 1% of water is used during photosynthesis. Chloroplast, the photosynthetic apparatus. Chloroplast is a unique cytoplasmic organelle of a green plant cell which traps solar energy required for photosynthesis. It is also called the basic structural unit of photosynthesis as it is responsible for the synthesis of food by plants cells. Chloroplasts are round or oval bodies which approximately is 4 to 6 micrometer in diameter and 1 to 2 micrometer in thickness. So these are bound by a perforated double membrane. The internal part of the chloroplast can be divided into two parts, that is grana and stroma. The granum consists of folded membranous sac arranged into numerous stacks, and each membranous flat sac is called thylakoid. The membranes of thylakoids are composed of photosynthetic units and proteins required for photosynthesis. Photosynthetic unit is the pigments like chlorophyll and carotenoids present in the walls of thylakoid for capturing the solar energy. Secondly, proteins are required for the process of oxidation reduction reactions during the photosynthesis. Whereas grana are embedded in a gel-like colorless matrix called as the stroma. It contains many enzymes involved in the synthesis of food. Some plant pigments are also responsible to absorb light of different wavelengths. Chloroplasts contain two types of pigments called chlorophyll and carotenoids. Chlorophyll is a green colored pigment consisting the major amount of plant pigment, and it's of two types. Chlorophyll A is the major pigment which traps the light energy and converts it into chemical energy, whereas chlorophyll B is the accessory pigment and helps to broaden the spectrum of light absorbed during photosynthesis. It constitutes one fourth of the total chlorophyll content. Chlorophyll absorbs light from the blue and the red regions of the visible spectrum of light. It reflects green light and hence imparts green color to the leaves. If a plant is deprived of sunlight, it tends to lose chlorophyll and turns pale. However, excessive exposure to sunlight destroys the chlorophyll. And carotenoid pigments are of red, orange, and yellow colors. They are also embedded in the thylakoid membranes of the chloroplast. These absorb light from the different regions of the spectrum. Carotenoid and chlorophyll B absorb light energy and transfer it to chlorophyll A. And all these above pigments together constitute the photosystem of a plant. Energy. The chlorophyll of plants traps sunlight in the form of packets called as photons. And these photons carry enormous energy. In the unit of energy is here quantum, which triggers a chain of reactions in the chloroplast and leads to the synthesis of food in the form of carbohydrates. The photosynthetic process can be represented in the form of following simplified equation. So this equation which is given in your book is 6 molecule of carbon dioxide plus 12 molecule of water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll will give glucose plus 6 molecule of water plus 6 molecule of oxygen. So here chloroplasts in the green plants absorb solar energy which initiates the process. Carbon dioxides get chemically reduced to sugars or carbohydrates and glucose is formed. Water molecule splits in the presence of light to release oxygen, and oxygen is released into the atmosphere which comes from the water, not from the carbon dioxide. This is how the equation of the photosynthesis. Thus, photosynthesis by plants involve both oxidation and reduction process. The overall process is oxidation of water and reduction of carbon dioxide with the help of light energy to form complex organic compounds such as carbohydrates. The three end products of photosynthesis are glucose, water and oxygen. Glucose may be consumed immediately by the plant in cellular respiration to obtain energy, or it is stored in the form of starch to be used later. Glucose is the raw material for photosynthesis of numerous plant products such as cellulose, other sugars, fats, proteins and so on. And water generated during photosynthesis is used for various activities, or it may escape into the atmosphere in the form of water vapor. Similarly, oxygen may be also used by the plant cells to meet their respiratory needs, while the excess oxygen diffuses out of the atmosphere to be utilized by all organisms. Site of photosynthesis, that is our leaves. Photosynthesis takes place only in the green parts of the plants, mostly in the leaves and to a lesser extent in the green stem or in the floral parts. Leaves are adapted for carrying out photosynthesis in the following ways. First is our cuticle. It's a non-cellular, waterproof and transparent covering which allows light to pass through. Second is our upper epidermis. The upper epidermis of a leaf is a single layer of cells which allows light to pass effectively to the cells underneath. Third is our chloroplasts. They are located in the cells, especially at the outer margins and upper surface of the leaves, which helps in easy and effective absorption of sunlight required for photosynthesis. Fourth is high concentration of chloroplast, helps to trap more amount of solar energy. Fifth is mesophyll cells. These are the specialized cells of leaves which contain chloroplasts. They have large air spaces between the cells for fast diffusion of gases to and from the photosynthesizing cells. Next is flat and thin leaf blade. It offers a large surface area for photosynthesis and provides a short distance for diffusion of gases. This also increases the number of mesophyll cells in the leaf, which means more chloroplasts are available to absorb light energy. Next is a broad leaf blade. Some leaves have a broad lamina which provides a large surface area for absorbing sunlight energy. Many plants have their leaves arranged at a right angle to the light source to maximize their exposure to sunlight. And stomata, leaves have innumerable stomata on the upper or the lower epidermis of the leaf for exchange of gases. The thin cell walls. Mesophyll cells have thin cell walls which results in the faster diffusion of carbon dioxide into the cells and higher rate of photosynthesis is carried out. Veins. The extensive network of veins distribute raw materials such as water and minerals to the leaves and conduct manufactured food to other parts of a plant. So rest of the process taking place in photosynthesis we will see in the next session.